The man responsible for what has been described as the biggest military hack of all time in the United States.
In the heading of the column, it said non-terrestrial officers. That's why.
Allegations of decades-old secrets kept deep inside our own government.
Something that definitely wasn't man-made, but the cigar-shaped. It had geodesic domes above, below, to the left.
The infamous Tic Tac UAP seen by Navy pilots is actually a US-made craft.
Yo, what's good? We're back with another one.
It's showtime.
March 19th, 2002. It's the middle of the night and a blacked-out van is speeding through the streets of London. Inside are several British police officers and at least one Secret Service agent. Their target? A seemingly unimportant flat in the Wood Green district. Once they arrive, the officers jump out of the van and rush towards the apartment. They quickly break down the door and immobilize a young man and his girlfriend. However, these two aren't their main objective. Instead, it was their computers. The officers quickly confiscate both of their PCs and every data storage device in the apartment. The man, Gary McKinnon, is thrown into the back of the van, and he can only watch as the agents illegally take away his possessions. The same night, all the confiscated items are immediately taken onto a private plane and sent to the United States, specifically to the Department of Defense headquarters known as the Pentagon.
A British hacker accused of breaking into Pentagon and NASA systems.
What a U.S. prosecutor calls the biggest military computer hack in all time.
I was in search of suppressed technology, referred to as UFO technology. I think it's the biggest kept secret in the world.
Did you find what you were looking for?
Yes, there's UFO technology.
The Americans say McKinnon is a cyber terrorist who caused almost £500,000 worth of damage to military computers.
$500,000? What the fuck did he do?
It's because of what he saw, bro. And he took the piss out of them.
A strange message appeared on a US Army computer. Your security system is crap.
I left messages on almost every system administrator's desktop, which in a perverse way I hope was helpful, because at least it was me there, it wasn't Al-Qaeda or China or Iran or Korea.
Between February 2001 to March 2002, Gary McKinnon was accused of breaking into 97 U.S. government computers within the Army, Navy, Air Force, NASA, and the Department of Defense. From his bedroom in London, he surfed around looking for evidence that the U.S. government was covering up the existence of UFOs. And he couldn't help but leave behind some silly cyber notes. U.S. foreign policy is akin to government-sponsored terrorism these days. I am solo. I will continue to disrupt at the highest levels.
It was incredibly cheeky and incredibly stupid.
Gary didn't bother covering his tracks. He was soon traced to his apartment in North London, where cybercrime specialists from British law enforcement arrested him on March 19, 2002.
How did he manage to hack so many of them? Surely their security is the best you can get.
Nah, bro. It really was crap.
It's 2 a.m., and while everyone is sleeping, Gary McKinnon is sitting at his PC. He resets his system, lights his joint, and immediately starts scanning IP addresses of the Pentagon for vulnerable ports. And after only a few minutes, he finds one, an open 139 port. Its purpose is to run the NetBIOS service, which basically shares files across different devices inside its network. And once it was compromised, it gave McKinnon a straight path to the Pentagon's network. McKinnon floats through the network and quickly finds an active machine to connect to. However, it asks for a password, but McKinnon tries something unusual by just clicking on the connect button. And it worked.
So you're saying that you found computers which had a high-ranking status, administrator status,
Yep.
which hadn't had their passwords set. They were still set to default.
Yeah, precisely.
The next step was to install the remote control software remotely anywhere onto the computer he had access to. And once again, everything worked. Over the next few months, McKinnon used this machine to infiltrate other computers, all while reading through a bunch of classified files.
What did he see?
A lot, bro.
So just tell us when you got your first hit, if you like, as regards actually seeing something interesting.
I found an Excel spreadsheet that was actually called, or at least in the heading of the column, it said non-terrestrial officers. And I was like, my bloody God, that's just
non-terrestrial
officers with ranks and names, and then a separate sheet with tabs for material transfer between ships. But non-terrestrial officer thought, well, it must be, let's try and cut out all the possible conventional explanations first. I searched for that term, it was nowhere. It was nowhere at all. Now if you search for the term, you only find links to me, and it wasn't a standard thing in the military at all. So I took that to be, they must have a secret space-based.
And how many officers' names would you estimate were listed, and how many ships were listed?
I think there's probably one screen full of officers' names, 5 rows, in an Excel spreadsheet. But the ships was probably, I don't know, a third. It was just French.
So estimate how many different ship names you saw?
Maybe 8, 10.
And am I right in thinking that you then tried to search for those specific names? Right, and
didn't find a thing.
Do you think that they could be classified?
Not the names of the people, the names of the ship.
But they could be classified secret or top secret names of some sort of craft or ship?
I don't know, man. He was already looking for proof of UFOs. Probably just made it up.
Nah, bro. He didn't just see the list.
McKinnon should have logged off for the day, but decided to connect to one more computer. And this time, there were only 2 folders on the desktop, processed and unprocessed. He pauses for a second, takes a hit off his joint, and clicks on the unprocessed folder. Dozens of files begin to load in a file format he's never seen before. He quickly clicks on the first file, and suddenly a small line appears on the screen. Moments later, it expands downwards. It's a picture. McKinnon then looks at a clock he has set to US time, 7:59 a.m. Only a few minutes are left before Building 8's employees start working. Time is ticking, and the image is still loading, and it might be McKinnon's only chance to find proof to validate his UFO obsession.
What came onto the screen was amazing. It was a culmination of all my efforts. It was a picture of something that definitely wasn't man-made. It was above the Earth's hemisphere. It was cigar-shaped. It had geodesic domes above, below, to the left, to the right, and both ends of. And although it was a low-resolution picture, it was very close up. This thing was hanging in space. The Earth's hemisphere was visible below it.
However, at the same time McKinnon was celebrating, one of Building 8's employees got into his office, and to his surprise, one of the computers was turned on. Suddenly, McKinnon sees the cursor quickly move on its own and...
Cigar-shaped, bro. This was years before the Tic Tac UFO.
I don't know, Ted. I don't think he saw anything.
Bro, then why did they go after him so hard?
The UK's Crown Prosecution Service did not intend to prosecute him, but the Americans did. They planned to extradite him to the United States. His mother, Janice, reacted with alarm, stating, "Extradite? At that moment, I was plunged into a state of terror, real heart-stopping terror. The kind that makes you want to grab your possessions and bundle your family into the car and head for the hills." The hacks occurred between 2001 and 2002, when British authorities required evidence to justify extradition, which the US never produced. However, the rules changed in 2003 when a new treaty came into effect and evidence was no longer required.
Extradite him for looking at some files.
They wanted to give him 70 years, bro.
The man responsible for what has been described as the biggest military hack of all time in the United States, Gary McKinnon, today has lost his battle to avoid extradition after High Court judges ruled his prescription was lawful and proportionate to his offence. The 43-year-old, who suffers from Asperger's syndrome, a form of autism, has been described by his lawyers as a UFO eccentric. After today's ruling, his solicitor Karen Todner said their fight is not finished. A heartbroken plea from Mrs. Sharp for compassion.
I appeal to Obama and to Gordon Brown. Do they want the first computer hacker ever to be extradited to be a guy looking for UFOs who has Asperger's syndrome, who admitted to computer misuse without any lawyer and without one being present? It's not really a very good example, is it? It's not going to really make them look very good in the eyes of the world. It's a disgrace, and they should be highly embarrassed.
Yeah, that's fucking ridiculous.
I'm telling you, bro, he saw the tic-tac.
There are two things that need to happen here. First, the Home Secretary in Britain is reviewing this case and has to make an effectively sort of quasi-judicial decision in the next few weeks. But at the same time, there have been discussions between the British government and the American ambassador about potential steps that could be taken in this case.
Cameron also said that Obama told him he would find a compromise, but publicly, the president wouldn't be drawn on the case.
One of the traditions we have is the president doesn't get involved in decisions around prosecutions, extradition matters.
At the time of Gary McKinnon's indictment in 2002, computer misuse wasn't an extraditable offence in the USA, and in Britain, it carried a maximum sentence of only 6 months.
Why do you think they went after him so hard, bro?
It's probably because he took the piss out of them.
How has the whole case affected your life and that of your nearest and your dearest apart from Gary?
Well, it basically puts it on hold. You can't do anything because you don't know what the future holds. And because it's my son, it's on my mind every second, every waking second of every day. I think how I can fight it, who I can contact, what I can do, so you don't have another life. Also, as far as earning a living, it's very difficult because you don't have the time. This is 24/7. People imagine we've got campaign headquarters. We don't. We have me in front of the computer. And I sit till 4 o'clock in the morning sometimes. I can't stop. And so for Gary, it's the worst of all because only he is literally facing being dragged across there. But for everyone, it's actually 8 years of torture.
8 years? What the fuck?
It went on for over 10 years, bro.
Described by the US as the biggest military computer hack of all time. Well, that was a decade ago. Since then, with backing from his family and a growing number of supporters, McKinnon's been fighting against extradition to the United States, arguing his case should be heard in Britain.
I was in this country, my computer was in this country, all the evidence was here. And I admitted to the unauthorised access, so...
I'm very hopeful, but I'm scared to be hopeful because it's almost like a waterboarding of the mind. You're up, you're down, you're up, you're down. It's cruel to the core. It really is.
And she says Gary's mental condition has worsened as he tries to cope with the threat of extradition.
He stays at home, he sits in the dark. He used to go out, he used to cycle. He doesn't do any of that anymore.
Can't believe they took it this far.
Yeah, bro. They would have took him out, but it was too high profile.
It is simply wrong for this government to have signed a treaty in secret which sells our rights down the river while it protects the rights of American citizens, and it's certainly wrong to send a vulnerable young man to his fate in the United States when he could and should be tried here instead. It is simply a question of doing the right thing. Gordon Brown once said he had a moral compass, but it seems to me on this issue he's seriously lost that moral compass. He should find it fast, try Gary McKinnon here at home, protect his rights, but also protect the rights of all British citizens.
It's mad it went on for 10 years if it had this much exposure.
Yeah, bro. People were pissed.
3 famous musicians, Sir Bob Geldof, Chrissie Hynde and David Gilmour, have thrown their backing behind Gary as he battles to stay in this country.
The songs a plea to President Obama to step in and halt extradition proceedings against the 43-year-old.
This guy just isn't a terrorist. You know, it's mad to sort of treat him as if he's a fully blown terrorist sort of chap.
And it's all quite surreal, this as well, you know, rock stars and prime ministers, and it's just all a bit mad, but it was great to hear him say that he was sympathetic.
It's weird that they used to do this. Who gives a fuck what a bunch of celebrities think about it?
Bro, the Film Actors Guild even got involved.
This is Breaking News with Peter Jennings.
The actors are calling for an emergency meeting. Already expected to attend are Helen Hunt, George Clooney, Susan Sarandon, Janine Garofalo, and Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
Mr. McKinnon is accused of serious crimes. But there is also no doubt that he is seriously ill. He has Asperger's syndrome and suffers from depressive illness. The legal question before me is now whether the extent of that illness is sufficient to preclude extradition. As the House would expect, I have very carefully considered the representations made on Mr. McKinnon's behalf, including from a number of clinicians. I have obtained my own medical advice from practitioners recommended to me by the Chief Medical Officer, and I have taken extensive legal advice. After careful consideration of all of the relevant material, I have concluded that Mr. McKinnon's extradition would give rise to such a high risk of him ending his that a decision to extradite would be incompatible with Mr. McKinnon's human rights. I have therefore withdrawn the extradition order against Mr. McKinnon.
I'm overwhelmed. I'm incredibly happy. I want to say thank you, Theresa May, because it was an incredibly brave decision to stand up to another nation as strong and powerful as America. Is rare, and she had the guts to do it.
British law states that if someone commits an offence in this country, then they go on trial here, not somewhere else. Many in the United States won't like it at all, but it'll now be up to the prosecuting authorities in London to decide what happens next to Gary McKinnon.
Fucking hell, it is rare our government stands up to America.
Yeah, bro. Now they just roll out the red carpet and bend over.
I'm sorry. I couldn't resist.
Gary's case resulted in new rules that allow British judges to block an extradition request if they believe the suspect should be tried in the UK. At the end of 2012, the Crown Prosecution Service announced it would not prosecute Gary domestically, as it didn't have evidence that it felt would lead to a conviction. However, Gary's legal counsel strongly advised him against ever leaving England or Wales, as the US could have him arrested and extradited. That meant he could never visit Scotland, where he was born and where his father still lives. Although Scotland is part of the UK, it has its own separate legal system. Despite these restrictions, Janice expressed relief and gratitude. Nonetheless, Gary is free, and for that, we are eternally grateful.
It is a bit weird that they went after him for so long.
They wanted him dead, bro.
Remember, this is for entertainment purposes only.
During talks between U.S. diplomats and McKinnon's lawyers, one diplomat claimed that some people in their government wanted Gary McKinnon to, quote, fry, insinuating an execution via the electric chair. Coincidentally, these notes mysteriously disappeared from McKinnon's lawyer's office only days later, and the laptop used by an accompanying solicitor to transcript the meeting was also stolen from his car. So, whether or not the U.S. ever wanted a fair trial, or even respected Gary McKinnon's life, is a good question.
There's no way they'd have given him the death penalty.
I'm telling you, bro, he saw the tic-tac. They've never gone after anyone else so hard.
Some other UK hackers that infiltrated the US government but were never extradited. First, we have Richard Price, who hacked into a bunch of different US security departments, NASA, and even Korean nuclear facilities in the 90s. It was so bad that the US said he was, quote, causing more harm than the KGB, unquote. But they never went after him as much as after Gary McKinnon. Next, we have Aaron Caffrey, who shut down the US's busiest port in 2001 and caused millions in losses for American shipping companies. Despite this, the US never pushed to extradite him. And lastly, we have Andrew Harvey and Jordan Bradley, who created a virus that infected thousands of machines from 2001 until 2003, causing millions in damages for companies and individuals in the US. Both of their trials were in the UK. It just seems odd that the US did everything in their power to extradite McKinnon, when in comparison to the previously mentioned hackers, he didn't do much harm. So I guess the final questions are, what was the real intention behind the extradition? And did McKinnon see what we know today as the Tic Tac UFO?
Bro, you gotta admit, there must be a reason they wanted him so bad.
I guess they wanted to make an example of him.
Bro, he described the Tic Tac to a T.
I still think he made it up. He ain't the first to describe one as cigar-shaped.
We were probably out here a couple minutes. Brandy started saying, Daddy, there's something up in the sky. I didn't pay attention to her. Again, she said, Daddy, there's something up in the sky. And I still am paying attention to her. And finally, he says, Daddy, there's something in the sky. I looked up, and the sun was just on this side of the gutter here, August 27th, so we were protected from the sun here.
This is what Tim saw. You're watching the actual videotape he recorded that day.
Dad, a spaceship grow bigger like that? Huh? Huh?
Uh-huh.
It could.
Tim taped the object for more than an hour. His father also saw it.
I said, my gosh, what is that thing? And to me, it appeared as a long pencil-like aluminum foil triangle object in the sky, moving erratic, but staying just north and west of the sun.
Salida means gateway. Indian legend has it that this area was a window to other worlds. In recent years, ufologists have echoed those sentiments, saying in essence that Salida is a stargate, a gateway for beings from other worlds.
That just proves the Tic Tac exists, bro.
I don't think it does.
And after a historic week in Washington with bombshell testimony on UFOs and allegations of decades-old secrets kept deep inside our own government.
All four of us, because we were in F-18Fs, so we had pilots and Wizzo in the back seat, looked down a small, saw a white Tic Tac object with a longitudinal axis pointing north-south and moving very abruptly over the water like a ping pong ball. There were no rotors, no rotor wash, or any sign of visible control surfaces like wings. As we started clockwise towards the object, my Wizzo and I decided to go down and take a closer look with the other aircraft staying in high cover to observe both us and the Tic Tac. We proceeded around the circle about 90 degrees from the start of our descent, and the object suddenly shifted its longitudinal axis, aligned it with my aircraft, and began to climb. We considered 270 degrees to where and we went nose low to where the Tic Tac would have been. Our altitude at this point was about 15,000 feet, and the Tic Tac was about 12,000. As we pulled nose onto the object, within about a half mile of it, it rapidly accelerated in front of us and disappeared. Our wingmen, roughly 8,000 feet above us, lost contact also. We immediately turned back to see where the whitewater was at, and it was gone also.
This was probably just a distraction from whatever fuckery they had going on that week.
It's Project Bluebeam, bro. Lockheed Martin made the Tic Tac.
So during a recent interview, investigative journalist Ross Coulthard said that the infamous Tic Tac UAP seen by Navy pilots in 2004 is actually a US-made craft. And not just any craft, he claims it was built by Lockheed Martin. Check it out.
I now know categorically that the Tic Tac is Lockheed Martin technology.
Okay.
The Tic Tac is Lockheed Martin technology. Why are we being lied to?
Then there's Congressman Eric Burleson. He just said in a recent interview that an insider showed him photos of the US-made Tic Tac craft as well. He didn't confirm if it was reverse engineered, but he said he believed the tech was real.
Had two people come to me that say that the Tic Tac is a Lockheed Martin creation.
And just a couple of months ago, an anonymous whistleblower posted classified-looking documents on Reddit claiming that the Tic Tac is U.S. tech based on exotic propulsion. Documents mention field propulsion, plasma containment, and anti-gravity stabilization. So, are all of these sources talking about the same program? Are we being slowly prepared for disclosure, or is it an elaborate misinformation campaign? We always have to consider that. But if this is real, the bigger question is, where did we get this technology? Is it reverse engineered, NHI technology? Is it breakthrough science, or something else?
It's Lockheed Martin, bro. But we'll have to save that for next time.
Hold up, Ted, we got to do the giveaway.
Leave a comment for a chance to win in our next episode. Let's do this, bro.
Bang!
Good luck.
Pick something from our website and we'll send it straight out.
That's terrortedstales.com. Shout out everyone buying the merch, bro.
We've had some issues with the contact form on our website, but it's being resolved this week. So if you tried to get in touch, don't worry, we'll get back to you.
We got some new merch dropping soon, bro.
And as always, thanks for watching. Remember to like, comment and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next one.
We live in a dark time. The world is becoming more and more violent, and the idiots in charge are making it worse.
Matt Damon.